This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
I was trying to get it I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get it, get flat. I got 6 jobs. I don't get time. I don't get time.
And we are still not tired on this week's episode of Two Bad Hombres. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Church, alongside my usual sidekick and broadcast partner in fun. That is Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles Macaroon. John, how are you doing?
Vito, welcome to the weekend. Holy cow, man. There was a lot going on in the world, of sports, and holy cow, man, pop culture. First things first, I do want to say congratulations on earning another sponsor with the network. I'm always appreciative of you getting renewals, and that's always good. The network is going great, and thank you again for filling in for Adam. You can check out the episode that Vito hosted with myself this past Thursday at DetroitSportsPodcast.com or on Twitter at Detroit Podcast. It's episode 291 of Doc and Jock. How did you like it? Did you enjoy it?
Well, besides for the fact that I did it for free, I liked it outside of that. Now, I was trying to negotiate a once-a-month deal to be on Doc and Jock. Now, I don't know if I can get a monthly segment, but after, let's see, I've been here, Doc, by the way, I don't even know if you realize this, since May of 2015, maybe June of 2015.
Man.
So we're going on 4 years. I mean,
Time goes
crazy
by fast.
how fast the time has flown by for me and for you. And really quick to dive into a topic that really just broke as we were getting on the air. It's something how the time flew by for Jason Witten in the ESPN Monday Night Football broadcast booth. He's already leaving the broadcast booth to forego retirement, to get out of it, and to rejoin the Dallas Cowboys, a team that he had a great career with, now going into a second stint with the Dallas Cowboys as their tight end. Doc, what are your thoughts on that?
Here's the thing. When athletes retire, we all know that they, really have a hard time transitioning. The opportunities that they have go away. The cheering goes away. The cheering stops. So a lot of athletes definitely have a hard time stepping away. That's why boxers, obviously, they joke around, but they always come back, end up unretiring.
Need
UFC,
the money, too.
Yep. In the UFC, it's very similar. But Jason Witten, I was genuinely surprised that he decided to come back because the tight end position is such a brutal position. You take hits, you got to block. And I think, though, with his situation, sometimes with football players and ex-athletes, when you go to the booth, it makes it super hard to transition. Okay, yeah, you're getting paid. Yeah, it's a great gig to cover football and to broadcast and give your analysis and things like that. It's a great gig. Everybody really would die to be on television and to have that job. But for an athlete, I think if you really want to do it properly, take a year away, relax. Hopefully you're smart enough to save a year of savings where you can kind of just travel, kind of relax, unwind a little bit, then take a TV job because you're more away from it. I think for Jason Witten, there's no way you sit there and watch it, go every week and interview these athletes and coaches and be around it without missing it too much. And I do think that for Jason Witten, that's fine because you always want these athletes to go out on their own terms. But I just think that the Dallas Cowboys aren't really that close to winning a Super Bowl. So for him to come back, it just means that he missed it that much and he really wanted to go out on his own terms. He kind of felt like he left stuff on the table. And sometimes a year off will make you feel good. Your workouts feel great. And a guy like that, definitely a workout warrior in great shape, probably felt really good and said, you know what? If I get a good contract, might as well go back and do it. It pays more. Being a professional athlete pays more than being in the booth, but it's just, I don't think, worth it at your advanced age and things like that. I think you should have just stayed unretired.
Probably a blessing in disguise for ESPN because the reviews for Jason Witten in that Monday Night Football broadcast booth were miserable. I would track it on Twitter and see his name trending every single Monday night during the football season, and man, he was getting slammed. I mean, he had some of these horrible catchphrases. His analysis was off the mark. He got ridiculed left and right. And I got to believe that ESPN actually down deep behind the scenes, Doc, and everybody else out there is happy, is genuinely pleased that Jason Witten is leaving the Monday Night Football broadcast booth.
Would you rate that assessment as him being subpar fair? Did you kind of notice that he wasn't that good in the booth? Because for me, the one thing that was highlighted over and over was Booger McFarland and him blocking everybody. And people did talk about how the ratings dipped. And obviously, here in Detroit, that Monday night contest, people definitely panned it. the reviews were not good for the female who hosted ABC's Monday Night Football. People were not happy, and I was kind of surprised by it. I think it was a woman named Beth
Mowens.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised by that. I didn't really hear too much rumblings in regards to Jason Witten.
Well, he did the second game that night then, too. Remember, they had 2 broadcast teams because it was 2 games. And that's always the case for their Monday Night Football opener. They have one East Coast game or Midwest game and then a West Coast game late at night in the nightcap of the doubleheader to open up the NFL season. So Jason Witten all season long, he never got better. So I've got to believe, too, that Jason Witten almost at the end of the day as well realized that that wasn't for him. And he succumbed to the pressure and said, forget about this and all the reviews and critical thoughts and analysis of my broadcasting game and quality. I'm moving on and back to the football field where I can shine as Captain America. I mean, the guy is shredded. He looks like Captain America. He's one of the biggest dudes you'll see, known to mankind. And on the football field, starring at tight end, which he did for all those years in his first stint, you can say now, with the Dallas Cowboys. And he is in an advanced state in his NFL career, coming back out of retirement and in his mid-30s. So you can't expect him to be shining all the time, week to week now for the Cowboys. But he's probably thinking, this is going to be better for me than being in that broadcast booth once again and being exposed to all of this pressure and critiques. And it was constant critiques and negativity about his broadcasting game and the quality of his analysis. And it just never hit the mark. It wasn't on par where it should have been for other Monday Night Football guys in the past, guys that starred in that role on ABC with Al Michaels or Howard Cosell, Frank Gifford, all of those dudes that I never got the chance to watch really call games besides for Al Michaels on Sunday night now. But Jason Witten stood no chance in comparison to those individuals. And even his former teammate with the Cowboys and former Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Tony Romo, who starred, came out of the scene for CBS with Jim Nantz as their number 1 broadcast analyst on, their NFL games on Sundays, and he started right away. And people thought, well, and assumed that Jason Witten going into the ESPN Monday Night Football booth would have that easy of a transition as well. But guess what? He didn't. He really failed miserably. And I think we can honestly say that, as much as it's critical and we've never done it ourselves. And the reason why I can say that about Jason Witten is because I know I would stink as well. I would fail miserably. So I'll admit it. I'm accountable. I would be stinking up the joint as well in that Monday Night Football booth. And I think you're kind of right, Doc, that it's hard for guys to go into the booth right out of the NFL after their playing days are immediately over. I think it's a very tough transition to the studio or to the broadcast booth, and especially to the broadcast booth and on a big stage in Monday Night Football.
Yeah, man. Do you think he'll come back and actually perform on the field? Because nowadays, people are definitely concerned regarding these athletes' health and their ability to recover. And obviously with CTE, the tight end position, what more does he have to prove?
Right.
What more does Jason Witten have to prove other than get in the ring?
Yeah,
so I
think he wants to win a Super Bowl, and I think he thinks the Cowboys are good enough. I know you said they're probably not, but it's if you believe in Dak Prescott. Can Prescott lead the Cowboys to a Super Bowl championship? I guess Witten's believing in that, and I got to believe the money he's taking, I think it's $3.5 million for 2019. Doc, that is less money, I believe, than he's making as part of the Monday Night Football broadcast booth. And it was a long-term deal, so they would have had him back in the booth for another year. So he is, I think, taking a pay cut to rejoin the Cowboys. So I think he realizes once again that he stunk it up in the broadcast booth and that he didn't want to deal with the pressure anymore of being in that broadcast booth and dealing with the constant critiques and negativity spewed by the masses on Twitter.
Okay, I definitely want to hit on this, too, because it's been making the rounds. I just seen it on Twitter. A Colorado Springs wrestler made history when he knocked himself out of the state tournament rather than wrestle a girl. It's an interesting, Vito, it's an interesting situation. Classical Academy senior Brendan Johnston, he wrestled for the Classical Academy. He had 4 losses to this one girl because every time that he was going to face this girl named Angel Rios, he would forfeit. So he had 6 losses on the season. He gets to the state tournament. 4 losses are to this girl, and he just decided that, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be part of this, and he decided to forfeit. It kind of brings into question a lot of issues in regards to gender. Should girls wrestle? Should boys kind of handle it this way? It's really tough because I'm torn in a situation like this because of the fact that, we can speak idealistically and we can sit here and say, well, yeah, he should have just did it. He should have just wrestled Angel Rios and whatever happened, happened. But sometimes when youngsters decide, you know what, I'm going to make a decision, maybe he truly believes in his heart that he would actually injure her. Maybe he believes that, you know what, the risks far outweigh the rewards. Meaning, if you rough up the girl potentially and it gets on video and you're going extra, you break a bone and you go real extra on her and you treat her like a guy and you rough her up, you could do some serious damage. Now, it is noted that she is a serious wrestler, that she's obviously really trained and takes it seriously. But on the other side, if you lose, let's say you're this kid and you lose, we could say, they'll just shake hands and they'll walk away. But there'll be video of it. There'll be discussion. Maybe a podcast or two will poke fun at him. And I just think that I would probably, in the long run, make the same decision more often than not. Now, should she be able to wrestle? I don't think she should be precluded, but I just think that, there are, when you go into fighting, there are weight divisions. Like, you can't fight Brock Lesnar.
Oh, I wanted to. I would beat him up.
Because
hands down.
It'd be a mismatch. And that's how it started back in the day. If you recall, Vito, back in the day, actually, Arizona Senator John McCain was definitely against the UFC because he called it human cockfighting, because it would just basically be a tournament where some big fat dude could fight, a real skinny dude, and whatever happened. But as the UFC evolved, they added regulations, and a guy can't fight a girl in the UFC, and it's just never happened.
Well,
it's never going to happen.
No, it probably isn't, but how about if they're the same weight class?
We
just talked about the regulation, same weight class, still no woman fighting a man.
I feel like if, the right thing to do is if she wants to wrestle, she's got to find, maybe a private league or something where she can go up against female competition, MMA, other avenues instead of high school sports. Sometimes in life, I know we're trying to, in 2019, I know we're trying to be idealistic and everybody should be able to do everything. Okay? And I know people frown upon it by saying, well, a guy can't wrestle a girl. A guy can't wrestle in a girls' division. Guys typically shouldn't enter girls' events, and it's usually very much frowned upon. And I understand the notion that all girls should be given an opportunity no matter what. But in a situation like this, there are avenues for young girls to train and work out and be part of mixed martial arts. I just think that girls entering guy sports is a little bit dicey, and I'm not sure I'm totally for it, meaning that every girl should have an opportunity to do what she wants and play a sport that she wants, but against like-minded people. I just don't think that because if somebody wanted to push it, should a girl play football in the NFL? Should a girl play in the men's PGA Tour? I just think that there are differences. There's a man and there's a woman, and there are differences in categories. Now, there are going to need to be obviously some discussions regarding those that are transgendered and what gender they're going to decide.
I was going to say that, bringing up that topic, because it's getting a lot of discussion and steam too.
And it still needs to be discussed. But in terms of the fact that Angel Rios is a girl and she's wrestling in high school, I just find it a little bit challenging. And more discussion needs to be had, but I don't blame the kid for forfeiting, and I don't view him any differently. I just feel like, especially, remember, I'm now almost 40 years old. I would react differently. I just, be like, okay, haha. But if I was a 17-year-old kid and I saw that, I'd be Snapchatting it. My 17-year-old self, every now and then if we get into an argument, you lost to a girl. It would definitely be talked about. And I think that...
So you think the guy was scared of losing to the girl, and that's why he forfeited? Or was it PR for the sake of PR, not to injure the girl? Like you were saying, because a guy typically is stronger, right? Is built stronger, bigger bone, let's say, than a woman typically, and has athletic advantages, right? Just naturally. So maybe the guy was thinking too, I'm going to beat up this girl and injure her, and for the sake of PR, it would look bad for me on the national stage, because likely, at least locally, it would spread. And the word would spread even nationally now with Twitter and social media outlets such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. People be talking about it ad nauseum, that he beat up this girl and this girl got hurt from this wrestling bout. But I've got to believe from this female standpoint that she could have cared less. She didn't care about taking on this guy because she wanted to have the chance at equality and to beat this man in this wrestling bout.
Yeah, when it happened, everybody was disappointed because he had to formally forfeit. Her mom was disappointed. She's working her way, trying to work her way to wrestle in the Olympics, this Angel Rios. So she's talented, but here's his quote. Here's his reason. I'm not really comfortable with a couple of things with wrestling a girl, Johnson explained. The physical contact, there's a lot of it in wrestling, and I guess the physical aggression too. I don't want to treat a young lady like that on the mat or off the mat. And not to disrespect the heart or the effort that she's put in, that's not what I want to do either. So he just doesn't think that he can go 100%, maybe might put himself at risk to get harmed, because it's just, you got to also put yourself in the guy's position. Is that, how do you handle that? Because most of the time, guys nowadays, especially with what's been happening in the world, the Me Too movement, and with the changes in how we respect women, a guy may not want to go rough up against a girl. It's just something that he's not comfortable with. And like I said, I think the cons far outweigh the pros. What's the pro in it? Obviously you get the victory you're supposed to. You could eventually hurt her. And I just don't think that sometimes we have to, be willing to force everything to happen. Sometimes there are things that are not supposed to happen. Like I cannot go into a girl's bathroom and just be like, well, today I feel like I'm gender neutral. It's just not common. Now, that's where some people want it to go. I just don't believe that. There are guys and there are girls and there are differences. And I think we need to respect that. And I know it may not sound too progressive, but I'm fully supportive of this kid and not taking the stance.
Because of dealing with the ridicule and the endless berating and criticism he would receive all over these different social media platforms. Because he would have been hugely susceptible and likely to have received endless criticism about losing to a girl or injuring the girl if he would have. Now, from this girl's vantage point, though, she wants the chance to take on these guys and to beat up these guys and to say, hey, I'm bigger and better than a man. She's believing that and really wanted to have this fight and this chance to beat this guy. And that's where it's hard to say, because don't you want the girl to, have this great shot to succeed?
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to make her feel satisfied at the end of the day is by competing with these guys and by beating these guys head to head.
Hey, if it's allowed, it's no problem. I'm just giving my opinion on what I think
As a guy, if you were a guy in his shoes, 17 years old, you would not have fought.
No, not at all. I would not do it. I would just respectfully decline, similar to what he did. And if she wants to go on and be a state champ, that's fine. He took 4 losses. He forfeited to her 4 times this year. And he just feels like, based on his morals and what he thinks, based upon how he was raised, that he doesn't want to risk it. He doesn't want to, potentially hurt her. And he may lose. But at the same time, I also think he probably believes, along with his family, that probably they should be separate. Guys should wrestle guys, and girls should wrestle girls. And that's the way it should be. That's the way it is. I mean, there are women's leagues, there are guys' leagues, and that's the way it should be. And maybe on a case-by-case basis, we can look at those that are transgendered and those that are dealing with those certain situations in their lifestyle. But for me, I don't have no fault against it. I think he was respectful, everybody all the way around. But it's an interesting talking point in that, do you think women should advocate further? And will it happen that maybe in 5-10 years, do you think maybe if a woman becomes president, then the dominoes will fall further, that women will feel more empowered to ask to do more things that are typically guy-related? And it's really fascinating to look at in that I have 2 daughters. I want them to succeed. I want them to be able to have opportunities. I would want my daughters to understand that, hey, if a guy was uncomfortable, no problem. Just no problem at all. We both walk away with respect, and we both walk away feeling okay. It just wasn't going to work out because there are going to be some guys that aren't going to be comfortable wrestling up with girls. I'm certain this is not the first time she's faced something like this. So it's an interesting story, really interesting stuff. But do you think further down the road, 5-10 years, that girls are going to try to push to maybe play in the NFL, play in the NBA?
Play in Major League Baseball? Let me just say this. In the game that I love the most, Major League Baseball, I think there could be a girl one day. Because what if the girl has a rocket arm, man? You'd think a team's going to pass down a girl. She can throw 98 miles per hour or triple digits on the radar gun consistently.
You think a girl can do it?
What if she... Well, I know it's not as easily done for a girl, maybe because of genetics and, it just doesn't happen as naturally for a woman, right? But Jenny Finch, now that's softball underhand toss, but she was zipping past these guys, man, that were great Hall of Fame caliber major leaguers in softball. But I'm saying in baseball, I think a girl one day will toy the mound, be on there, and could actually dominate.
I don't think on the mound. So. I don't think on the mound, because of the physical force it might take to throw 95 miles an hour.
I'm just saying, well, it's not easy.
Maybe batting. Maybe somebody with a keen eye, somebody that can actually hit and maybe be a DH.
I think what's sexier is a person that can throw it hard with the velocity than a guy that can hit. Now, if she's hitting home runs, like 40, 50 home runs, but I'm saying like the supreme, to the extremes here with a girl. I'm saying it would have to take that maybe, but there could be a girl. What if the girl's a power hitter? Is slugging 40, 50 bombs a year?
Yeah, I think
right?
that's
or
easier
if she's
approach.
Throwing 98, 100 miles per hour, zipping it past guys on a regular basis, you would have to give that girl a shot, man. Come on, think about it. What if she could do all that? I'm saying if that's the case, you would have to give the girl a shot, and that's why I think in baseball is one of the few sports where I think girls could definitely play the sport and succeed.
Interesting. I'm surprised, really. Maybe, do you think baseball might be the easiest entry for a girl to play? I mean, obviously...
It might be. It's up there. And then there was that show on Fox where the girl was a pitcher, pitching in the majors, and she was good. I mean, it just takes that one girl, right? It takes one individual to really succeed at a high level, and then it opens the doors for everybody else, too.
I recall, I think it was Annika Sorenstam, a female golfer. She tried to play on the men's.
She did, with the PGA Tour.
It didn't go exactly right. So I just think that golf might be also an avenue for a girl to compete with the guys because you're playing against the course. But again, the course is definitely lengthened, and sometimes it's harder for girls to drive it, 350. But a girl with power, maybe a little bit stockier, could actually compete, win
or
regularly.
A girl, hey, regardless of being stocky, if she can just drive the ball out of the ballpark or on the golf range, hey, you can succeed, and then there's room for you on the PGA Tour or in Major League Baseball. How about a kicker or punter in football, in the NFL as well? Girl could do that. Now, taking the contact, but hey, then you have to. And I think the girl would realize, well, I might get hit, and you deal with it. It's just always a negative connotation attached to men hitting women. It's that. And like in football, that violent sport, it'd be harder to look at that and to, I guess, be all right with that, with the guy hitting a girl full speed ahead.
So in the next 10 years, yes or no, do you think a girl will be entering into a professional major sport?
I'm going to be bold and say yes. Now, I'm going out on a limb by saying that, but, I mean, it's almost going to be 10 years from now. It's almost 2030. Why not? There could be a woman president by then. I would love it if there's a female president. I'm all for equality and giving chances to all people from all walks of life. So women deserve a chance to succeed at the highest level against men and to become president one day. And Hillary Clinton almost did that. And maybe Kamala Harris or somebody else, a Democrat or Republican, rises to the occasion and becomes president in the next 10 years or so. And maybe a girl ends up being a pitcher in Major League Baseball and is a dominant, right-handed or left-handed arm. And especially if she's a lefty and once again can throw hard, can throw triple digits, then it becomes feasible that a woman could end up playing in Major League Baseball down the line and as soon as 5 to 10 years, 10 years from now. It really could happen if that is the case, Doc.
Really fascinating stuff. So there's also breaking news regarding a major contract signing. I'm really fascinated to talk about it, but we'll do that next. A Major League Baseball player finally signed with the squad. We'll tell you who it is and for how much right after this commercial break on Two Bad Hombres.
And, Doc, let us thank our sponsor here for Two Bad Hombres, and that is the Legacy Football Organization, which was founded in 2009 by a past guest on these very airwaves in Justin Sassante. And Legacy, guys, is the premier off-season development program in the state of Michigan, in the Midwest, and in the entire U.S. of A. It provides unique platforms for student-athletes both on and off the football field through community service, social awareness, education, and football. And it consists of a staff of many former collegiate stars and NFL players, including Greg Jones, another recent guest of Two Bad Hombres. And you can find out more, guys, about Legacy Football and all of the events they are hosting in 2019 and beyond by contacting the aforementioned Justin Sassante, the National Director of Football Ops for Legacy Football, or by going online today to www.legacyfootballorg.com. And back here on Two Bad Hombres, and Doc, as you said before the break, big breaking news broke right before we came on air, and that is regarding Bryce Harper finally signing a contract, as we are now in spring training in Major League Baseball, and he was still available, widely available on the open market, and he has inked a long-term deal. And when I say a long-term deal, I mean the definition of it, and even more than that. And getting a 13-year, $330 million deal from the Philadelphia Phillies, who, Doc, were rumored to be the favorite to land his services all offseason long, and now entering spring training in the first week and a half of spring training, and he has signed on the dotted line with the Philadelphia Phillies for all of that money.
Man, Vito, Major League Baseball free agents, they got it so tough. So tough.
Right? Yeah, they had to wait so long, but they've still cashed in. Him and Machado both. Machado, 10 years, $300 million. Harper, now less annually, but more years and more in totality with $330 million in cold cash. That is has to be all guaranteed money. In Major League Baseball, most of these contracts, Doc, as you already know, are guaranteed contracts as well. So he's becoming a rich man over the course of the next 13 years.
Could you commit to an organization for 13 years? I mean, as a youngster, you're 26 years old.
Be tough.
As a young man, you're 26, and they offer you, security. Basically, you know how much you're going to make, you know your worth. But at the same time, you're definitely at 26 years old. Let's just say in 5 years, you amass supreme numbers. You could be definitely, if he's really good and he's a guy that is going to be forecasted to hit a lot of home runs and contribute, after 5 years, the going rate could be $40 million a year.
For a guy that's really hitting at a supreme rate, you're right.
So 13-year commitment, I think, is a long time. I would have taken that, obviously, but I would have asked for after 7 years, maybe give me a chance to get out of it. Halfway through, I'm committing halfway through the contract. Let me decide, because then he'll be 33 years old. If it's not working out, then you can just glom on to a team like the Dodgers or Red Sox and try to get your world championship. But basically, he's locked in. Bryce Harper is now officially a Philadelphia Philly. What do you think of the move for them?
Now, good for them. I mean, they become instant contenders, and they already kind of were contending in the first half of last season. And now they're really adding to their major league roster. They're trying to win immediately. And Bryce Harper, by the way, does not get that opt-out clause. Manny Machado did get that after 5 years in his 10-year deal with the Padres. I would have targeted that as well in my deal. Signing for 13 years at, he's my age, 26, a little bit older than me. Until 39, he's got that big contract with the Phillies, meaning he's with one team for all that time. It'd be tough to commit to that team for all that time because you never know what direction the Phillies will go in eventually. 5 years down the line, the Phillies might be irrelevant, and he might not want to be there. Well, he signed on the dotted line and committed now to that big long-term deal, and he's got to stay there. And then, I guess, demand a trade at that point. But trading a guy who's making, by the way, annually $25 million a year he will be making with this contract for the Phillies. All that money, to deal that money, and then if he's struggling on top of the money that's obligated to him as part of this deal, it's going to be tough for him to get out of Philly then. So it's a large commitment, and I guess he wanted the years, and he did get that out of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, most people expect years 11, 12, 13 are going to be wasted, and you're just trying to
37, 38, 39. Like, how relevant will he even be at that point?
Anthony Fennick, Detroit Free Press, Detroit Tigers beat writer, he came on Tigers Talk, and he said, and he quoted and said, and he said it right there on the show, he said, Miguel Cabrera's contract is the worst, among one of the worst contracts in the league. And so you realize that these contracts, I'm surprised they're giving it out that long. 13 years guaranteed. I just feel like a fair contract is right around 5-6 years in your prime, and then you give the team an option. But if you're Major League Baseball and you're doing the deal, you're negotiating the union versus the owners, you want that. I mean, is the next contract going to be like, for a 22-year-old, we're going to need you. We pegged you. You're talented. We're going to need you to sign a 20-year deal.
I was going to say 20-year deal jokingly, too. Could be a 22 until 42 and have an opt-out after 10 years. It's getting crazy now. And remember, there was so-called collusion from the owners. The owners are still paying Machado and Harper all this money. So these guys are still getting rich.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's not taking too much for them.
20 years, $400 million. Would
I do it? $400 million would be hard to resist. Yeah. And it would be hard to resist for these guys, a lot of these guys in any profession.
It's guaranteed money.
Guaranteed money, man.
For 20
talks.
Years.
It speaks loudly.
But see, for me, I'm all about winning too, because, usually teams that offer that kind of money aren't usually the best teams. And it's just a bidding war, man. But remember what we always say, Scott Boras is always right. He's always right.
And he gets his clients paid handsomely.
Even
day in, day out, it seems like.
Even if it's the day before opening day, Scott Boras is an OG. He gets his people money.
Man.
Did he represented Bryce Harper? Did he represent Machado too? No.
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting stuff, man. These baseball agents, they make good money. And
they do. I mean, think about all the money. Now, I don't know what percentage of the contract he gets as part of his cut, but it's got to be a hefty cut, man. I mean, he is a guy that's making a lot of money and has lived lavishly and large for a long, long time now.
That's just one client.
I know. Think about it. He's got multiple. When I say multiple, I mean like 100 clients. So he's doing pretty darn well for himself. Machado cashed in. He's doing well for himself. His agent's doing well now. Harper and Boras are as well.
Now, you said the Phillies now, as a result of this signing, are instant contenders. Why do you say that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were already close, like on the verge of it last season. So with Harper's presence, and he's a left-handed bat, you know how sexy that is? As a lefty pitcher, lefty bat, you become even sexier than a regular star hitting, right-hander or right-handed pitcher that's an ace caliber guy. As a lefty, your marketability even goes higher and just is higher. So Harper and the presence he adds to the Phillies lineup on an everyday basis, man, yeah, I mean, they're legit contenders in the National League East division at the very least. But, I mean, you can slice it this way, too. The Nationals had even more talent and had Harper along with all that talent. They didn't win anything last year. They struggled. And, the Phillies are open. They're not going to ride the struggle bus that the Nats just did this past season. And you would think the Phillies, long-term at least, achieve a lot more success and win a World Series. Because when you sign a guy to this big of a deal, Doc, you're aiming for what? For a World Series championship.
The ring, baby.
Got to get that ring. And Harper wants it, and I think he truly believes that he can win one in Philly.
I don't see it. I think sometimes, obviously, they got a great manager. Gabe Kapler started off, a little bit shaky, but as the season went on, you started to see that, okay, this guy can maybe handle his business, and now they went out and made a splash. And that's all you can ask for is to go out there and get a talented individual, a guy that many people feel like is a generational talent. Is he worth a 13-year contract? Man. What do you think, though? Isn't he injury prone? Isn't he having struggles at times with his batting average?
Yeah, last year.
And his on-base percentage, and sometimes he struggles a little bit with those sabermetric numbers. But do you feel like the contract is justified based on what he brings to the table?
He's supposedly a once-in-a-generation talent. So based on that note, you could say, oh, yeah, he's worth $25 million a year. He's worth $30 million a year. He just, I guess, waited out for a longer-term deal. That's why he only got $25 million a year over 13 years. He could have gotten 30 if he went for less years. If he would have gone for 10 years, 8, 9 years, he would have gotten 30 mil too, just like Manny Machado did.
All right, what's up next?
Well, I was going to say this. Will Robert Kraft still be in prison by the time that Harper's contract runs out 13 years from now? How about the prostitution scandal he is a part of in Florida? Already charged with the misdemeanor, man. And supposedly attached to, this crime of Robert Kraft is this human trafficking issue as well, which has become a major issue nationwide, worldwide, and Robert Kraft has his name attached to this dirty issue, Doc.
Man, when that story broke, Vito, I was shocked because he went and engaged in these activities in a strip mall. In an Asian...
A massage parlor, right? A massage parlor, of all things. Going there and soliciting. By the way, it's solicitation of prostitution for a man of his age and caliber.
Now, look, we can't conflate the issue, okay? We can't say that Robert Kraft was human trafficking.
No,
okay?
not him directly.
No. What happened was he went to this location and he solicited a prostitute and, received... sexual favors.
Services, for sure.
And he tipped and he left. But unfortunately, at the time, that place was being investigated for human trafficking and he got caught up. So he's on video. And I'm almost certain in the next 6 months, TMZ will shell out a bunch of money to this place or to law enforcement and the tape will be released. But basically, he went to a rub and tug and basically paid like, what? $80.
Nothing for him.
Yeah,
nothing really for either of us, too, honestly.
$200 with a $100 tip, I think, is what was in the report. But obviously, the part that I think some people are definitely discussing is, well, should prostitution be legal? Is it really a big deal? But here's the thing, okay? The part that makes it scandalous is that, you went to a place potentially where the girls were there against their will. Now, the part that's hard is nobody really interviews the hookers. You know what I mean? Nobody goes and says, hey, what's your situation? It's kind of like, look, I'm giving you money and you're going to give me sex. And that's it. And then the patron leaves and that's that. And I just think that the part that's challenging is that the act is illegal in certain states, but it's also legal in other situations. And so I do think that in this situation, because I'm a guy, if you listen to the podcast, I always tout less government. Sometimes there are situations that maybe could be regulated. If you think about it, I think prostitution probably should be legal but regulated so that you can eradicate human trafficking. Now that it's illegal, it can be seedy. People are taking people and doing this thing. And obviously, nobody is for human trafficking. But at the same time, many people that say, oh, why would he do that, are also thinking the same thing. And they're thinking, the man has $1 billion, just pay $2,000 for somebody.
He's got a woman that's beautiful, that's 30 years younger than him? I mean, God, he's dating a model pretty much. Why do you need this prostitute to provide you some services, man?
Well, Vito, I'll put it this way, too, because, we're speculating here. But at times when you date someone, maybe they're not into certain acts that they don't want to do on you.
Oh, God. So you're giving him clearance to go ahead and solicit prostitution then?
No, Vito. I'm telling you the reason why a lot of guys go and get that service done in particular. And it's because of the fact that some girls don't do that. They don't want to do that.
So let me ask you, if your wife isn't doing what you want, you're going to go somewhere else and get that service that she's not providing to you?
Okay. Now, not too many times I'm going to quote Barstool Sports, but there is a podcast on the network called the Call Her Daddy podcast, and it's two very beautiful young ladies, and they say the same thing. If you're not performing oral on your man, then he'll find it somewhere else. And they advocate that, like, look, he's going to find it.
So they're advocating, and you are advocating actively right now for a man to cheat on his spouse, significant other, whomever it may be, if she's not providing oral sex.
Vito.
So it's that simple. So now I know I got a cop out. So if she's not doing it or doing it well, I'm out.
Vito.
I'll tell her, you know what, I'm going to cheat on you if you're not providing me well enough or often enough.
Vito, you got to remember, I've heard it all in this office, and you have to sometimes, question human behavior. Why do guys seek out that behavior? Because they're not getting it at home. And it's true. Nobody wants the mother of their kids really be doing that kind of stuff, and you think about it. But, to go down that road, I think Robert Kraft, if he wanted to do that, could have just paid $2,500 to get an upscale lady and take care of business. I don't care. What happens behind closed doors is fine. But yeah, to go down to a seedy place is really cheap and really speaks to his morals
bravado. And values, right? Come on, where are the values, man? Well, now we're saying that somebody has higher value, so if they seek out a $2,500 value prostitute, I mean, there's not many values or morals there from that individual, too, if he's seeking out that, or she's seeking out that.
Hey, remember, going back to our earlier talk, we're a free society, and some, professions, it's the oldest profession in the world. It's out there. We can't bury our heads and say that, right now, there's not a man soliciting sex.
It's happening.
Sex.
It's going to be, it's going to always happen.
So why not benefit from it, have it taxed, have it be regulated so that the girls are clean? Look, in Las Vegas, brothels are legal. So you go there, the girls are clean, you negotiate the rate, and you handle your business, and you keep it moving.
You negotiate it? Do you know for sure?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there a set rate?
On HBO, they have a show, and they featured what would happen and stuff like that. And yeah, you negotiate with the girl.
Okay.
You can get certain services for a certain price. If you want to spend all day there. There was a guy, I think, that went in there, wanted to spend like 2 weeks there and get all peppered. Yeah, like spend like 200 grand.
Does he have a wife? Probably has no wife, or she left him.
Yeah,
if that's the case.
Yeah, the brothel on HBO was featured. I forgot what the name of it was, but the brothel was featured out there in Las Vegas on HBO.
So you know what makes it even more creepy for me is that it's Robert Kraft, and he's this 70-something-year-old dude, and then you start thinking to yourself, can you still get it up? I mean, it's like you start thinking of that kind of stuff, the dirty angle, but yeah. I mean, my head has seeped into the gutter and whatnot. You start thinking of that with the 70-plus-year-old dude.
I just wonder, too, because one day we got to find a way to phrase it correctly. But yeah, I've never utilized the service of an Asian massage parlor. But I wonder what the appeal is of, there's certain guys that like Asians. And
they do.
And
it's their flavor, and they seek it out. Right?
Yeah.
So Robert Kraft apparently does, or he just likes women and likes women a little bit too much. Obviously he does by soliciting prostitution.
But you never typically see massage parlors be Caucasian women or African American women. You don't see that typically. It's usually foreign women.
So you want diversity too in these massage parlors.
Yeah.
Right? You want women from all walks of life in these massage parlors, or you're never going to enter into one. Is that what you're admitting to right now on these two Bad Hombres airwaves?
But to move the conversation forward, if he's charged with a misdemeanor of solicitation, do you think the owners should come down hard on him with a hefty fine? Should he lose his franchise? For me, I don't think you strip him of his franchise. I mean, he basically paid a hooker. So I go, you know what?
The president does it.
Exactly.
Multiple presidents have done it, right?
Here's the punishment from the Commissioner John. I'm like, okay, Mr. Kraft, come in, sit in the meeting, close the door. All right, write us a check for $750,000. You'll be suspended for 2 games, and close the door, and then be like, okay, off the record. You go anywhere else that's legal? And
that I should know about, where I can maybe get some services done, right?
Exactly, and maybe give him a list of the places he should go. Look, Mr. Kraft, I know it's the end of your life. You want relief? Go look at this website. Look at this place. They're verified. They're good. Find the lady of the night that won't get you in trouble. But man, now when the video comes out, you're gonna watch it.
I probably will still. Yeah,
you watch it? Ew.
Well, I'm gonna check out something. Well, I want to hear about it at least. Maybe I won't check it out.
Well,
so wait, would it make me that dirty of an individual and immoral of an individual to check it out, even 5-10 seconds?
It wasn't a rub and tug. It was the
it was more? So it was porn then. So really it would be porn. Well, maybe I wouldn't watch it then. Okay. Come on. I'm a man of morals. I'm a Catholic. Come on. I love Jesus. Would I really do that?
Okay,
no.
I'll put it to you this way. Well, let's say it's now regulated. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, girls are playing baseball. They're playing in the NFL, and it's much more open society. Weed's legal, and prostitution's legal. Would you go?
No, I don't need a prostitute. No.
High end?
I don't think I'll ever seep to that low of a level. Now, hey, a guy like me with no money on me, or, the reputation of a baller, let's say, you know what, I think should be able to. Should be allowed to more frequently and have the right to more frequently or easily. Where these individuals, I just look at them like Robert Kraft, or a big guy like Tom Brady. He has Gisele Bündchen as his wife. Really? You can get any woman in the world. Now, he hasn't done this and seeped this low from what we know. But, even Robert Kraft, as a guy that's 70-something years old, I mean, he could have gotten any woman in years past, even now. He has this beautiful girlfriend once again. I mean, really? You needed to go after this woman and solicit prostitution? I just think, man, what were you thinking? He was thinking with the wrong head. I'll just say that much, too.
He needed relief.
He did. At his age, I guess men still need the relief, right? They're still guys.
The other part of the story is crazy. It was the day of the AFC title game. You just go wake up in the morning, take care of business in the shopping mall, get on a plane, and go to work.
And then your team takes care of business, too, on the football field, right, against the KC Chiefs. So he has lived a glorious life, hasn't he? Has had a lot of perks and freedoms. But I think what the NFL has to do is slap him on the wrist at least a little bit. And I was going to say something drastic, but it's not going to happen ever. Taking away draft picks from the Patriots. But, I mean, realistically, what is going to happen to him? You said suspended for a couple of games. Like, that has to be the worst-case scenario. I think he just gets fined, Doc. I think nothing more than that.
Yeah, big fine. The owners obviously will look at this and definitely frown.
Oh, they'll be like, I'm doing this too. I don't want to get caught, so I'm not going to, throw him under the bus and get him suspended or something when I'm doing it behind the scenes anyways, and I don't want to get caught. And there's bigger names, by the way. From this report, when it came out last week, they said bigger names than Robert Kraft. So who the heck else is attached to this report and to this human trafficking, which is not really about that totally. And for Robert Kraft's sake, supposedly he's not involved on the human trafficking part of the story. But still, solicitation of prostitution. Prostitution is not legal in every single state. And at this Florida massage parlor, it wasn't legal what he was doing.
Yeah, you should be a little bit more suspicious of Asian massage parlors in a strip mall.
Well, I bet he knew. He just thought he wasn't going to get caught. I think a lot of guys, right, because they're thinking with the wrong head, they're thinking they're not going to ever get caught. And then he's thinking, I'm this mighty big dude, Robert Kraft, owner of the Patriots. How many rings does he have now? 6? As owner of the Pats, he's thinking, I'm never going to get caught. And then he does. Got busted. Big report about it. And there's still people defending him and saying, hey, he had the right to. He's a man, has a right to get that service provided. And he went ahead with it and got it done, Doc, apparently.
Before we get out of here, a couple quick hitters, things I want to get your sense of. Did you watch the Oscars, and did you care that there was no host? It actually rated a lot higher than in years past.
Without a host, I think it was fine. I would say go ahead and do it again. Now, not every single year, Doc, but I recommend once every 2 or 5 years, once every 3 to 5 years, have the Oscars not have a host. What do you think? I mean, I think it rated high enough. I think people raved about the fact that there wasn't a host, and I think it went along more smoothly, and the show didn't take as long because of it, too. So I think, all in all, I think the reviews were favorable for the Oscars not having a host.
What'd you make of Michael Cohen testifying in front of Congress? Did you believe it was a sham, or do you take any value out of a guy that also has a little bit of credibility issues at this time?
Well, he already lied under oath once, so can you believe him now? Is he really this valid a guy to take testimony from? Maybe not, but man, what he was saying about Trump, if any of it is true, calling Trump a racist, a con man, a cheat, well, I think we all already knew or should have suspected and knew that Trump is a con man. I mean, I've strongly believed that for a long time now. Regardless of what you think about his policies and issues, he's kind of been known to be this dirty businessman in years past with his Trump Tower, just all these Trump businesses that he specifically had his name attached to over the years. So Michael Cohen came out strong, but took some abuse too, man, and it was going to happen. These Republicans were asking him direct questions and grilling him, and his family has taken a lot of abuse, man. That death threats, social media abuse. And you got to feel bad for his daughter, his son, and his wife now, man, because they have been put through the ringer, and their last name, the Cohen name, Doc, has been tarnished forever.
Now, everybody awaited the measurements of one Kyler Murray, quarterback, and he checked in 5'10". And so the measurements came out, Vito. He's 5'10", and so many people are like, oh, that opens the door for him. He's now probably rated potentially to be the number 1 pick, the number 1 quarterback on the board. Is it justified? Did you care at all about his height? And do you think Kyler Murray will be successful as a quarterback given the fact that he's under 6 feet tall?
See, well, I don't care about height for obvious issues. I think at 4'8", you can play quarterback in the NFL because I'm about that height-wise. But for his sake, I know you get dogged if you're not 6 feet tall or above 5'10". He's just a little bit above 5'10". And I found out this news, by the way, on a show that's being removed from NBCSN and Dan Patrick. His simulcast no longer will be on NBCSN as of yesterday, March 1.
It was
no longer on there. Going to be on the Audience Network and Bleacher Report Live. So, moving on.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to be sad about because that's the one sports show I would watch almost every single day in the morning, Doc.
I love simulcast. I'm surprised. If we had the funds, I definitely would launch a simulcast channel where every single, it feels like it's affordable. You just got to have the cameras, you pay the talent, and you just run it. It's just, I'm surprised. Maybe the ratings weren't that good. Dan Patrick's a little older, and he's a little bit, when I watch the show, it's entertaining. He does good interviews, but sometimes he comes across as a little bit too smart for the room. Like, he's got a great interview style, real direct, but sometimes lacks a little bit on the entertaining style, a little bit too smart. But I think he's a great guy. I like the show, so I'm kind of surprised to hear that news. Man.
It's sad. No, that's it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But the Danettes, about the Danettes.
But Bleacher Report Live? Bleacher Report Live?
Will I stream it and watch it? Probably not. Even though I like Dan Patrick a lot, but I don't stream really anything. I don't really stream sports on a daily basis.
Yeah, we got to check into the Audience Network.
So I wonder how you can even get into that. I think that's DirecTV.
Oh, okay.
DirecTV owned /base. So
Got it.
I don't have DirecTV, and
Neither do I.
how many people even do nowadays? I don't think a lot of people do. They have what, Comcast? Or they're streaming. They're cutting the cord and streaming. ESPN 3, ESPN Plus, all these digital premium services that are streaming based.
Do you think Kyler Murray is worthy of being a top 10 pick? Will he be fine?
Well, I think he's probably going number 1. I think at least top 10 he's worthy of. Him going number 1 to the Cardinals when they already have Josh Rosen, and it's about whether or not you think he's capable of being a number 1 franchise, QB moving forward there in Arizona. Now, Cliff Kingsbury, remember, came out and spoke glowingly of Kyler Murray before he took over the head coaching job with the Cardinals. So there is a strong likelihood Murray goes number 1. And I think as of right now, Doc, he has more upside than Dwayne Haskins, the other top-tier quarterback in this year's draft class, who could arguably go number 1, too, and at least top 5, top 10. So I think both guys go top 10, and I think Haskins is more the surefire bet to be a nice, solid starting QB in the NFL and in the immediate future. But long-term, Kyler Murray, I think, has a bigger upside and could be the better all-around passer.
Great podcast, sir, man. Any plans for the rest of the weekend?
I'm lame once again.
Nothing going on?
I don't think anything really that major going on this weekend. I have a Churco and Company charity softball game board meeting coming up, actually, and planning for that game. Once again, taking place Saturday, August 3rd, at a location still to be determined, but making some waves on that front and trying to work something out and getting that date locked down, because it seems like that date is now going to be permanently locked down. Once again, the 4th annual Churco and Company charity softball game taking place this summer, Saturday, August 3.
You can follow Vito at Vito Jerome. You can follow the network at Detroit Podcast. You can leave a voicemail 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 248-579-8686. Thanks, everybody, for all news and notes, for all things happening at the network. Go check out DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Thanks, everybody, for downloading the latest edition of Two Bad Hombres. Can't wait to talk to you next Saturday.
Adios.